In the beginning of everything, we came across a boy mining in a completely dark cave. He feels his pickaxe sink into something. A blue liquid starts dripping from the hole. A completely colorless boy smiles and says he finally found it. All this time it was ink. He then starts it in a small bottle. He looks at his shoulder with an expression of joy, and there sits a totally black kitten. The boy calls him Nero and thanks him because it was thanks to him that they found the liquid. As the boy leaves the cave, he talks to Nero, wondering if the pioneer crops would finally accept him if he brought them this liquid. The boy finally exits the cave and is met with dazzling view of the city ahead and its colorful rays of light. A crowd appears. Everyone is very excited. The crowd has admiring a group of young men and women with colorful hair, and someone from the crowd shouts that they are colorists. The residents admiring them with their vibrant colors are mostly colorless or possess more opaque shades. Thanks to the colorists, they are safe from any threat of monsters and can live happily there in the city. The scene now cuts to the Shadow District. We see a bulletin board talking about the entrance exam from the Pioneer Corps. Our boy finally appears, falling to the ground, knocked down by someone shouting, "Get out of here!" A man with dual-head hair yells at the protagonist, saying that this was not his place. Our upset protagonist yells, showing them his bottle of ink. "What's the problem with me being here? I even brought ink. There's absolutely no problem. I've already proven I'm capable of this." The head-iron bully points his finger at him and asks, "I'm going to have to spell out the reason for you? You have no color." In this world, people are born with their roles already decided. But sometimes idiots like you pop out of nowhere causing trouble. The bully gathers hedge energy in his right hand and throws it at your MC. He threatens our protagonist by burning the ground around him, and he finishes by saying that only special chosen ones like them could become pioneers. He explains that the weak cannot survive in the black lands outside the city. Everything is swallowed by black. You can even see a step ahead. In the darkness outside the city, there are various forms of dangerous monsters. They are called creatures. We risk our lives to explore the unknown and find resources and treasures. We risk our lives for the future of humanity. You could even say we are true heroes. For colorless people like you, this would be impossible, so stop getting in my way and do your colorless job. And don't come back here again. If you show up again, next time I will kill you. The protagonist is completely shaken by the bully's words. Nero crawls out of his jacket, meowing, trying to comfort him. The protagonist then pets Nero's head and say that he was okay because there was more places he could go. He was already used to this kind of treatment anyway. He smiles with determination and says, "I will definitely become the best colorist of all. I promise." Now, Nero, go back inside. We don't want anyone to see you. Our protagonist remains determined and goes to try another place. But we see a figure of a green-haired man staring at your protagonist through a window. He maintains a cold, fixed gaze as if he were planning something bad. Our MC continues walking, holding his notebook in his hand. With the notebook open, he keeps crossing things off his list and says, not here either, or not here either. He signs and says with a sad expression that this was another lost day. He stops in front of Mary's workshop, feeling super down, and says that there was no other way out. He enters the workshop and says, "Mary, I'm back." Finally, our protagonist's name is revealed. A girl wearing a mechanic's uniform and a warm smile says, "Kay, welcome back." She asks, "What's with the face? Fail again?" Kay replies, "Yeah, basically." Mary gets frustrated with the whole situation and says, "Those people won't see talent even if they slap them in the face." Kay says there's nothing they can do. They don't accept the colored people. Mary says that Kay has managed to bring back resources from the Black Lands multiple times, and his ability have been proven more than enough. Kay says that all of this was only possible thanks to Nero's help. Kay offers the ink he had mined for Mary to buy. She thanks him and says she will pay very well for the ink. She is relieved because her stock has running out and prices have been increasing, make things difficult. Kay emphasizes that this is why people have been saying the number of pioneers should increase. After all, our entire way of life depends on ink. Kay says he's willing to do the job, but no one accepts him. Mary asks him if he was thought about what she suggested before. While Mary searches for something under the table, Kay says That place is a little difficult. Mary firmly says, as she slaps a piece of paper into the table, that he should try everything without complaining. It was a flyer for the S-rank down Pioneer Corps recruitment. Kay, still reluctant, thinks to himself, since it's the S-rank corps, I always hesitated to apply. Mary says it was a great opportunity, since everything was based on skill, and he could finally be recognized. Mary looks at your protagonist with a loving gaze and asks, you want to be a colorist, right? You have been talking about this since you were children. We will always support you, no matter what. Our MC finally smiles, and with his flame restored, he says, you're right, I can't waste any more time. He takes the flyer and says goodbye to Mary, taking her and promising he will return victorious. Back walking through the Black District, our distracted protagonist notes Nero pouring inside his jacket. He asks, what's it, Nero? A figure of a man holding a wand appears behind them. A green-haired man points the wand and charges a strange energy towards our MC. A blow is then thrown towards our heroes. The protagonist notices and tries to turn around quickly, but there's no time, and he is hit in the back. Another man with dark blue hair appears next to the green-haired one. He mocks our protagonist. Oh, the colorless one dodged that. What a luck for the colorless one. Our protagonist, lying injured on the ground, hears the villain saying it didn't matter since he was going to die anyway. No one cares if a colorless person dies. We see Nero, desperate and crying out of worry for the protagonist. As the K consciousness faded, he tried to tell Nero to run. The scene cuts and we see a hidden place full of metal pipes and a danger sign, do not enter. K finally regains his senses and wakes up. The green-haired bandit with a sinister smile says, oh, you finally wake up. The scene cuts to the bandit holding your protagonist, ready to throw him into a tank of black ink. He says, unfortunate for you, you'll be thrown in alive when all kinds of colors and mixed ink waste is created. No human can survive in there. Perfect for throwing away dead bodies, isn't it? Kay asks, all bruised, who are you? Why did you attack me out of nowhere? The bandit says that they are surprised too. They didn't expect to find a treasure like that in the Shadow District. A creature with the intelligence to follow a human. It was indeed a rarity. The two bandits had trapped Nero in an iron cage. Kay despairs and starts shouting and hitting them in an attempt to save Nero. Let him go, you bastards! Kay yelled. The damn villain says that creatures would be worth a very large sum on the black market. The villain says it's too valuable to be with a colorless person like you. Kay remembers his past where he was alone and only had Nero by his side and says, damn, I was too careless. I shouldn't have let my guard down in the Shadow District. I've always endured discrimination and insults. I can't lose Nero, my only family like this. Our protagonist gathers the rest of his strength and grabs the bandit's arm. He stares with a threatening look and shouts, don't mess with me! The green-haired guy becomes wary of the protagonist, and suddenly he feels a shock throughout his body. He feels his colorful energy being sucked out by the protagonist. He then finally drops the protagonist into the tank of black ink. While Kay sinks, the two villains with Nero crying in the cage say that the whole thing was a waste of time, but was all sorted out now. Nero, completely desperate and crying, while the bastards are laughing and happy that they are finally rich. Inside the deep darkness, our protagonist slowly falls. In his thoughts, he cries out that he needs to save Nero, but his body won't move. He remembers the happy moments with his family and wonders, is everything really going to end here? He was alone as a child, only with Nero in his arms. The protagonist still has a promise to keep. He cannot give up here. In the middle of darkness, Kay hears a voice calling out him and saying, Kay, why are you standing still? Why aren't you doing anything? The surprised protagonist asks, who are you? Kay hears several voices in his head. Accept it. Accept it now. Don't hesitate. We have waited for this long. Accept your true color. Your true color now. Take it back. We see the black ink circling above your protagonist's head. We see the two figures of the MC, one black and one white, reflecting in each other. Our protagonist is totally covered by the very darkness he was sinking into. Many questions arise in the kid's head. What's happening? I was falling into the ink. After that, I can't remember anything. No, wait, more importantly, I am. Kate notices Nero crying, worried about his safety. He sees his friend held hostage by the two bandits. Nero inside the cage, crying desperately. Not seeing Nero, Kay quickly extends his right hand, and a hurricane of dark energy rises towards the bandits. The confusion and desperate figure in their eyes are more than a sign that they are fucked. One of them thought, a moment ago, the ink disappeared in an instant, and a black figure emerged. The green-haired guy, already trembling, couldn't believe in his eyes. A giant black hand heading towards him. Could a creature have emerged there?
Hey, if you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, what are we waiting for, dude? Click the subscribe button real quick. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers together. It only takes 2 seconds. Leave a like and comment something or one emoji below. I read all the comments and I like them all. And if the Hey Par button is showing up for you, press it. It helps.
We see rubble and destruction of what remained of the pipe building. An old man proclaiming that he had seen with his own eyes what happened there. He was explaining to the policeman, who didn't quite believe him, about a giant hand that appeared out of nowhere. It was black and had destroyed everything around. We see a pale man. It looks like he was the green-haired villain, now completely ruined. A red-haired man and a purple-haired woman are investigating this whole situation. Apparently, only the two villains were affected by this incident. The villains are B-rank pioneers. The purple-haired woman wonders what could have caused them to lose all their color. The red-haired man says that their color was the least of their problems. They need to find this creature that appears in the middle of the city. A policy officer realizes that they were colorists. The policy officer introduces himself as the area's supervisor and asks what such important people were doing there. The red-haired man says that it was all fine. They were just designing to find the creature. The red colorist asks the officer to show him the surrounding area. The colorists are already inside the destroyed factory. They begin to analyze the wreckage and find traces that a creature passed through there. The purple colorist says that they have the locations of all recently reported creatures. It was very strange for one suddenly to appear in the middle of the city. The ones usually seen in the city are small and harmless species of creatures. It could be dangerous if it's a new variant of creature. The red colorist says, adding that they shouldn't jump to conclusions yet. More importantly, they need to figure out how to locate this new creature. Seeing the scale of the destruction, they realize this is going to be a complicated job. The scene changes and we hear Nero's meow calling out for Kay. He licks Kay's hair in an attempt to wake him up. Thank goodness Kay wakes up and notices Nero. It's a relief that they are both safe. Kay realizes he doesn't actually know what happened. He blames the damn thieves who tried to steal Nero. His memories start coming back and he remembers everything that happened after he fell into the ink tank. He then starts to realize that something had changed. His eyes, his hands, and his hair, which had now turned completely black. Kay wonders how all of this was possible. He asks why it's so dark around him. He can see absolutely nothing. Kay quickly asks Nero to help him, and Nero responds to his call with a jump. He spins around quickly in the air and starts to shine brightly, changing his color to white. It's a Christmas miracle. What the hell is this? They are surrounded by creatures everywhere. Kay is shocked and realizes they were in the middle of the Black Lands. It was the Black Forest, an area that only pioneers of rank B or higher are allowed to enter. The creatures quickly begin to converge on Nero and Kay. Kay shouts to Nero that they must get out of there as fast as possible. Nero spots an attack. He looks so cute in white. It's a black snake-like creature attacking Kay. Kay manages to dodge thanks to Nero's warning and continues running and dodging the obstacles. The two trying to climb to a higher place and continue trying to escape. Kay notices a different feeling. It was his body that had completely changed. Even after running for so long, he no longer feels as tired as he used to be. He jumps off a cliff ahead and realizes he can move faster and more agile than ever before. His whole body is overflowing with energy. Nero notices another attack. It's a surprise attack aimed at Kay from a wolf-like creature. Kay can't react in time. He closes his eyes thinking he was going to die. The creature bites his arm with all his might, but his teeth are immediately destroyed as if it were biting a steel bar. Both Kay and the creature are shocked by what just happened. The creature, with a scream of pain, runs away from there, and Kay stands still, completely confused. He realized that even after the attack, he was fine. He thought it would be his end right there with that attack. Kay realizes that this is the power of the color, something he had never seen before. Nero calls him back to the reality. They couldn't stand still there. A huge horned figure appears before them. It is absolutely gigantic, with a sharp teeth and only one eye. Kay recognizes as a creature called a cyclops. He wonders what a predator of this level is doing so close to the entrance of the Black Forest. The cyclops is not playing around. It unleashes a very fast fist punch at our protagonist, sending him flying far away. Nero is caught by surprise and runs to check on his dear friend's condition. Even though he was thrown far away, the protagonist still thinks he can win against the cyclops. He had finally obtained the color he had desired for all those years. Things would definitely be different this time. He doesn't need to run anymore. He closes his eye and begins to remember the feeling he had in the factory against the two bandits. Black energy begins to envelop his body. He opens his eyes, which are now completely white, and his entire body is black, in full attack mode. The creature, which waited for the protagonist to transform, finally decides to attack. The cyclops tries to crush the protagonist with its giant hand. Kay plants his foot, prepares his fist, and in a single blow he pierces through the creature in a blink of an eye. The sound and the trace of destruction can be heard for kilometers. Kay's punch throws him very high up. He feels a light in front of him. His eyes finally get used to the light. He notices a bright and colorful landscape of the Black Forest. He wonders if it was thanks to his color that he was seeing all of this. But all good things don't last, and his transformation quickly begins to disappear. Still high up, Kay realizes he was screwed. He begins to plummet from up there, falling into the middle of the trees. Already falling onto the ground, Nero runs to check if his friend was okay. Kay, completely exhausted, begins to slowly lose his color. The protagonist, in desperation, realizes that the more he uses his power, the more he loses his color. As if Kay were a schizophrenic, the voices in Kay's head return, clamoring and screaming for him to eat his prey in front of him. You don't want to die, do you? It's simple. Your hand, your right hand. Stretch out your hand. Kay places his hand on top of the creature's corpse, as if he is possessed by the voice. Quickly, all the black pieces of the creature begin to be absorbed by Kay. Nero, witnessing all of that, is paralyzed. A beam of black light extends around the forest. Back to Kay now with his black hair. He recovers his energy and says relief. Phew, I'm going to survive.
Hey, if you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, what are we waiting for, dude? Click the subscribe button real quick. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers together. It only takes 2 seconds. Leave a like and comment something or one emoji below. I read all the comments and I like them all. And if the Hey Par button is showing up for you, press it. It helps.
Back to Mary's workshop, we see Mary, who was working on new projects. Suddenly, she notices something at the entrance of the workshop. She spots a figure entering her shop with suspicious clothing, but nonetheless, she welcomes them. Mary, with a smile, asks, "How can I help you today? Do you have any special request?" she asks. The figure continues without answering her, making her increasingly apprehensive. Mary, confused, speaks to the strange figure and asks if he realized that he looks like an extremely suspicious person. The hooded figure keeps approaching. Mary grabs her biggest tool and shouts at the intruder, "Stops right there! Don't come any closer! I'm going to beat you up!" The intruder lets out a scream with their arms raised high, terrifying Mary, who also screams out of fear. The figure asks her to calm down. All this time, it was Kay trying to scare her. Kay apologizes, laughing, and says that now he is almost unrecognizable. Mary is very surprised by the protagonist's new appearance. She screams, asking, "What happened to your appearance?" After Kay tells the whole story of what happened, Mary gets furious. She even wants to run after the bandits and hit them over the head with a hammer. After calming down a bit, Mary says that she was worrying sick about the protagonist. She would never have imagined that just what happened. With a smile on her face, she says she's happy that everyone is safe now. Kay thanks her and apologizes for worrying her. Mary worries that people might hate him because his new color resembles the creatures. Kay says that what matters most is that he finally has chance to become a colorist. Kay says that he doesn't need to think about other things right now. He's going to rush straight to the Pioneer Corps entrance exam. The protagonist, broke and without money, asks Mary to borrow some second-hand clothes and equipment. Mary says, "Again? How many times has it been now?" But being a good sugar mommy, with a smile on her face, she doesn't hesitate and says, "Okay, consider it an investment in a future colorist." She takes the protagonist's hand and asks him to follow her. Mary says that by chance, she has the right items for Kay. They will fit you perfectly. The scene changes, and we see a large building with several people entering it. Apparently, it's the place where the colorist exam will take place. Some participants are talking, and they seem nervous about the high number of competitors. The same participant says it all seems like a dream to have the chance to join the Dawn Pioneer Corps. It's every aspiring pioneer's dream. That was the group with the highest number of achievements in exploring the Black Lands. And since it was an S-rank organization, it had many skilled colorists. The only problem is that many strong candidates were gathered there. There was the second daughter of a traditional colorist family and a famous bounty hunter. Even highly skilled, recently known pioneers. But even so, the one receiving the most attention was that guy. The one with green hair and a gale sword at his waist. He's definitely going to pass. I heard he's strong enough to defeat out of control creatures by himself. But because he has a violent nature, he often causes problems, and he was expelled from his previous corporation. Yet, he still showed up here. One of the guys with dark blue hair mocks them asking, "What are you guys afraid of? Even guys like that are nothing if you train a little. My sword is stronger than his." His friends laugh at him, saying, "Go ahead, tough guy. Say it to his face." Obviously, the loudmouth isn't going to say anything. Gale, who was listening to everything, gives a look of disdain and says, "How disappointing. I was expecting S-rank people here, and they are just weaklings. There isn't anyone who stands out." He looks to the side and says, "Well, at least maybe that girl from the traditional family. Ellie Cyan, the second daughter of the Cyan family, right?" Gale says, "As the rumor suggested, she's decent enough to be noticed," referring to her appearance. Ugh, look at that creep. Gale starts to approach her, planning to attack her, and wonders how will she react. Before he could do anything, the loudspeaker starts playing. "Hello candidates, the entrance exam for the Down Pioneer Corps will begin now," a man with blonde hair announces. Everyone there was impressed. The blonde haired man was a part of the Down Pioneer Corps. Along with other colorists, he made a great contribution to the recent Great Creature Hunter. The participant says it's their first time seeing S-rank pioneers up close, and that they really are distinguished. The blonde-haired man says, "Welcome. Firstly, I would like to thank you everyone who applied for the Down Pioneer Corps entrance exam. Everyone here must have applied for their own goals and missions, whether it be for money, power, honor, or duty. Honestly, it doesn't matter. In the end, you need skill to achieve anything, and we only need the most skilled. We are looking for extremely strong candidates to venture into the Black Lands and reclaim human territory. We do not need mediocre people, so let's start without delay. Look around and we'll get an idea. The first test will be conducted in a tournament format. After all, the most important thing for a pioneer is their combat ability. Outside the city, it is a world of survival of the fittest. The weak die. Prove your skills here. We'll select the winners of the first round based on the results of the tournament. When your number is called, please enter the arena." He then calls out, "Number 126 and number 286 enter the arena." Everyone there was surprised, a strong guy right from the start. Gale, who was chosen, gives a smug smile and says, "Ah, my luck. Finally some fun. I was already dying of boredom." With a crazy look, he wonders how he will play with his opponent. But something suddenly catches his attention. It was his opponent in front of him. Gale thinks, "What's this strange posture? Looks so weak." Gale realizes it doesn't matter as he draws his sword. He says, "I got bored keeping quiet. Now that the stage is set, I don't need to hold back," he says as he prepares a strike with his sword. All the spectators there were impressed by Gale's technique. They all call him a genius for having such skill with the sword. Gale, with a menacing look, asks his opponent, "Ready? Try to block this." Gale pushes off with his right foot and rapidly advances towards his opponent. His opponent, surprised by Gale's speed, multiple swords of light flying towards the hooded opponent. Gale, with confidence in his gaze and at peak of his abilities, delivers the strike. But he is quickly struck with full force in face by the hooded guy. Gale is thrown out of the arena in a single blow. All the spectators are shocked by what had just happened before their eyes. Gale was thrown so hard that he broke the wall with the impact. Gale, already unconscious, leaves everyone wondering how it was possible for him to be defeated in just one blow. The hooded guy says, "Oh, that startled me. Suddenly, he rushed towards me so fast and light flashed everywhere." As his face is revealed, the people in the audience notice something is wrong. Gale's opponent had black hair. Everyone is terrified. How can a human have the same color as the creatures? Could a human even have that color? The hooded figure is finally revealed. It was our protagonist all along. Was all that power really because of that black color? Guys, let's all pretend no one knew he was the protagonist this whole time, okay? Kay makes a dumbfounded face and wonders, why is everyone reacting like this? Did I make a mistake? Dude, it's because you are black. These guys are up to no good.
Hey, if you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, what are we waiting for, dude? Click the subscribe button real quick. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers together. It only takes 2 seconds. Leave a like and comment something or one emoji below. I read all the comments and I like them all. And if the Hey Par button is showing up for you, press it. It helps.
Even Ellie Cyan looks stunned, wondering if it's possible for a human to have that color. Kay stands alone in the center of the arena. Oblivious to the gravity of the situation, the others wonder if the power to shatter the Gale's sword in a single blow comes from the mysterious black energy. Kay looks around nervously at the shocked crowd, confused by their reaction, and innocently wonders if he made a mistake. The tournament continues with intense battles. In one of the fights, a terrified contestant hurls sharp stones, but Kay charges forward, dodging them with ease. He closes the gap instantly and delivers a powerful punch, sending the magical user flying. The announcer declares him the winner. Kay's winning streak continues as he dominates, violently slamming one opponent into the ground and knocking out a third. High above, the blonde examiner watches with interest, declaring Kay as the standout candidate, and excitedly notes that Kay is the first black energy wielder in history, and insists they recruit him immediately before word gets out. Suddenly, heavy footsteps approach, and a voice casually remarks that it seems to be a difficult day. The blonde examiner turns around in surprise upon seeing the red-haired man and the blue-haired woman from the admissions office. The examiner asks what the team leader Red is doing there, but the man waves him off, claiming they are just passing through. They briefly discuss the investigation into the incident involving the large creature. The Red leader signs, admitting that there has been no progress. He then asks if there are any worthy candidates. The examiner mentions the young lady from the Cyan family, an extremely unique candidate. Suddenly, the Red leader's eyes widen as he senses something. He looks towards the arena and spots Kay, immediately noticing the black energy. While the examiner praises Kay, the Red leader stares silently at the boy. The blue-haired woman whispers to the leader, asking if the boy is connected to their investigation. The Red leader confirms that it's likely him. Internally, the Red leader concludes that a new color appearing right after the incident in the Shadows District is too big of a coincidence to ignore. He decides to keep a close watch on Kay for now. Unaware that he's being observed, Kay looks at his clenched fist, smoking with dark energy. He is thrilled with his incredible power, realizing that becoming a pioneer is finally possible. However, he remembers the physical toll the transformation took and warns himself to be careful. He knows that if he overuses his power and loses his color in the middle of a fight, he will be defenseless. A massive explosion of freezing energy erupts from the arena, creating a wall of ice. Ellie Cyan remains calm amidst the cold mist. The announcer declares number 17 the winner, revealing that she encased her opponent in a solid block of ice. Spectators, including Kay, watching admiration, commenting that the Cyan family's colors is always impressive. As Ellie walks down the stairs, Kay watches her, wondering how anyone could defeat such overwhelming magic. Suddenly, Ellie stops as she passes by Kay, staring directly at him with a sharp and curious gaze. Her blue eyes narrow suspiciously. While examining him closely, without a warn, she turns and continues walking, leaving Kay confused. The announcer says, "The first exam has been concluded." The blonde examiner steps into the podium and thanks everyone for their effort. He explains that, as they are behind the schedule, they will move directly to the next test. He instructs the failed candidates to leave, and they walk away dejectedly. The blonde examiner begins to announce the next test, but is interrupted by a hand on his shoulder. The red-haired man steps forward with a confident smile. Taking over, he looks at the surviving candidates and declares that the second exam will be conducted by him personally. The candidates look up in shock, realizing who is standing before them. Colorless Red. He is one of the strongest colorists in the Shining City, famous for reclaiming the Black Lands. However, the candidates are terrified, remembering the rumors that his destructive power is so intense that even allies hesitate to work with him, and that when he takes over an exam, nobody ever passes. The blonde examiner looks worriedly at the colorless Red, asking if he's sure and warning that the captain will be reprimand him for changing the exam format. Red laughs at that, saying he gets reprimand every day anyway. He announces that the test is simple and asks the crowd to just hold on, as his body erupts into massive flames. A gigantic wave of fire surges towards the terrified candidates, forming individual spherical barriers around each person, trapping them inside. The candidates panic as they are enveloped in intense heat. Red explains that he has recreated the environment of a certain region. Knowing that he's going to get quite hot, he illustrates that the black lands are full of extreme environments where humans can barely survive. He belittles the current test, stating that this heat is nothing more than a warm stove. With a serious expression, Red reiterates that if they endure it, they pass. However, his eyes narrow coldly as he adds that anyone unable to withstand this heat never had the qualifications to become a pioneer. Inside the fire spheres, the candidates suffer. One man realizes he cannot even scratch the barrier, while others scream in agony. They wonder in terror what kind of hellish place the Black Lands must be if this is considered mild. Watching from the side, the blonde examiner notices that, despite the rumors, Red's skills haven't lost their brilliance. He marvels at Red's incredible control, noting how he instantly covers so many people. He recognizes that this power is what is expected of someone at their peak. Suddenly, a loud cracking sound cuts through the air. Red and his assistant look to the side as one of the fire barriers turns blue and fractures. A massive explosion of ice energy erupts outward, shattering the sphere of fire. Amidst the falling ice fragments, Ellie's science stands tall, having freed herself. Red looks at her, admitting that this is quite good. He reflects that, although the Saiyan family's power is a natural counter to fire, his own power is usually strong enough to overwhelm that advantage. Staring at the young woman, Red concludes that she might truly deserve to be called a real prodigy. Red wonders about the other candidate they are interested in. Inside his sphere of fire, Kay appears to be standing still. Red watches him, noting that unlike the girl, this boy is not breaking through the barrier. He admits he didn't expect much from him. However, inside the barrier, Kay is panicking, screaming internally that he's in trouble. He realizes he used too much color in the fight with the Gale sword. He looks at his hand in horror, noticing that his black energy is leaking and deepening faster in the heat. Kay imagines a terrifying future where his powers runs out. He knows that if he is revealed to be colorless, he will likely be subject to experiments. Desperate, he frantically searches for a solution, wondering if he can absorb something to replenish his energy. He stares at the wall of intense fire. A realization hits him. Since the barrier is made from a color ability, he wonders if he can absorb it. He looks at his hand, admitting that he doesn't know the limits of his absorption power. Deciding he has no time to think, he resolves to find out. He reaches out and touches the swirling wall of fire. Immediately, a violent reaction occurs, and Kay is shocked to see that the direct absorption is working. The fire barrier begins to deform and twist, drawing the attention of nearby candidates. A massive vortex of black energy erupts from Kay, sucking the red flames into his hand. From the podium, Red and the blonde examiner stares down, astonished and unable to comprehend what they are seeing. Red begins to sweat nervously, forcing a smile as he remarks that they have found a real lunatic. In the arena, Kay remains amidst the dissipating energy, looking terrifyingly powerful with a red and black aura swirling around his hand.
Hey, if you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, what are we waiting for, dude? Click the subscribe button real quick. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers together. It only takes 2 seconds. Leave a like and comment something or one emoji below. I read all the comments and I like them all. And if the hey par button is showing up for you, press it. It helps.
The entire arena falls into heavy silence. However, internally, Kay is panicking again. He forces a smile, thinking that this shouldn't have happened. He realizes with regret that he accidentally ended up stating out way too much. Ellie's Cyan remains paralyzed, questioning if she is hallucinating. As she stares at the youth shrouded in dark energy, she looks at Kay and wonders if black is truly a color a human can possess. Recognizing that this is something unprecedented, a sense of anxiety washes over her as she watches him. Memories of the pressure to be the best flash through her mind. She is forced to admit that Kay is undeniably strong. She realizes that even with her full power, she could not guarantee a victory. As Kay walks away, Ellie thinks there is something about him that cannot be explained by strength alone, asking herself what he truly is. She quickly shakes her head, trying to brush away the disturbing thoughts. The colorless Red approaches Kay and casually throws his arm around his shoulder, telling him, "Next time won't be like this." Red smiles, commenting that the black ability to suck everything in was wild, and that he cannot contain his curiosity. He guides Kay away, suggesting that he have a private conversation to protect Kay's privacy while satisfying his own questions. Kay, sweating nervously, asks about the status of the exam. Red assures him that with a power level like that, he obviously passes. Kay is stunned, realizing that attracting so much attention worked in his favor. He is overcome with emotion, thinking that he has finally fulfilled his dream of becoming a pioneer. Suddenly, the blonde examiner yells at Red for acting on his own. Red laughs it off, asking his colleague to ignore just his once. The examiner signs and announces that, despite the interruption, the exam will continue. He clarifies that number 17, Ellie, passed because she broke their barrier. But the other candidates will undergo an additional test. Ellie ignores the announcement, her gaze fixed on the dark tunnel where Red is leading Kay. The scene shifts to an industrial setting. Red is outside a car with Kay, while the blue-haired investigator sits in the driver's seat. Red tells him to wait. Kay looks around and his expression turns into pure shock. He stares at massive landscape of rubble and destruction, realizing with horror that Red has brought him back to the exact spot where he fell into the ink residue. The colorless Red looks at the devastated ruins, commenting that it's an ugly place, explaining that a major incident occurred here. Making Kay freeze, Red reports that for the first time in history, 2 pioneers are found completely drained and colorless. He adds that witnesses saw a massive creature at the scene. Red turns abruptly to Kay, pointing out the suspicious timing. He notes that right after that creature appeared, Kay emerged as the first person to possess the color black, calling it a coincidence, his eyes glowing. Red analyzes Kay's power, describing it as an ability that absorbs others' colors. Kay sweats nervously as Red stares at him, declaring that is a completely foreign ability. Internally, Kay panics, realizing that Red has suspected the connection from the start. He repeatedly wonders if he can escape, but looking at the man's overwhelming aura, he realizes it is impossible to escape from a hero. Suddenly, Red laughs, breaking the tension. He waves his hand, admitting he was only testing Kay, but complains that Kay's next reaction took the fun out of it. Kay looks at him in confusion. Red clarifies that while his official job is to investigate the incident, he is personally more interested in Kay's unique ability. Red explains that color powers normally cannot mix in any way. However, he observes that Kay's ability seems to ignore these rules. He recalls the second exam, pointing out that Kay clearly could not control his power. Then Kay stammers, trying to explain, but Red interrupts him. The colorless body begins to glow with red energy, and he states that they need to conduct a test. Kay looks at him in confusion. Red reaches out his hand, explaining that he needs to understand how the ability works. He smiles confidently, challenging Kay to try and absorb his energy now. Kay panics and tries to refuse, warning Red that it's too dangerous. Red simply laughs, telling the rookie that he is far too early to be worrying about someone of his level. Kay falls silent, looking intense and nervous as Red tells him to stop talking and just try. Black symbolizes the black lens, a ominous force that devours everything. Red thinks that leaving such a dangerous ability uncontrolled is unacceptable, because it could shake the foundations of the glowing city. A dark secret crosses his mind. People do not know yet, but humanoid creatures exist. He silently warns Kay that if he ever faces one of them, or worse, becomes one, the colorless may have to eliminate him. Kay signs, feeling the terrifying pressure emanating from Red. Despite the intimidation, Kay agrees to the test. He grabs Red's wrist nervously, asking for confirmation that if anything goes wrong, it won't be his fault. As dark energy rises from his body, the moment they touch, a shockwave of energy distorts the air. Kay gasps as red energy surges violently into his arm. Contrasting with his own black aura, he realizes he has made a mistake. A massive explosion of fire erupts from the point of contact, making Kay scream in agony. Inside the inferno, he screams for Red to stop, admitting that he cannot control the power and that it feels as if molten lava is boiling inside him. In his vision, Red appears as an imposing silhouette similar to a god of pure fire, reinforcing why he is a hero. Red remains calm within the flames, observing. He notices that Kay's black energy is sucking his power without rest, acting as if he were starving. He realizes that due to Kay's immature power, strong individuals can resist the absorption, but this ability will be instantly fatal to most ordinary people. As the flames swirl, Red's eyes narrow with deeper curiosity. He thinks that what they saw during the exam cannot be the full extent of this ability. He decides that he wants to know not just how Kay absorbs colors, but how those absorbed colors are used. The situation escalates as the energy between the two reacts violently. Red watches as the black energy from K's arms begins to wrap and stretch, mixing with the red aura. Suddenly, a massive explosion of red and black energy erupts outward. Red is pushed back by the explosion. He looks in shock at the figure emerging from the smoke. K has partially transformed. The right side of his body is now encased in jagged demonic armor of solidified red and black energy. Red grits his teeth, realizing that this form is almost familiar. Looking at the monstrously clawed hand and the glowing eye, Red admits to himself that he would believe he was looking at a creature. The similarity confirms his suspicions, and he realizes with certainty that K has behind the incident in which the other pioneers lost their colors. K struggles to maintain consciousness. Red decides that his priority is safety and resolves to put out the fire before K goes into a rampage. He summons a ball of flame, preparing to forcibly subdue K. However, K lets out a low growl, making Red pause as the boy seems to be fighting against something more. The scene shifts to K's internal perspective, a pitch black void filled with demanding red text. The voices of the power scream at him, demanding intense color and urging him to bring more. K gasps in the real world, distressed by thus intrusive voices. The voices continue to tempt him, saying it was a waste to hold back and urging him to take. K mentally screams for the voice to shut up and be quiet. With fierce determination, K's visibly eye glows red. He rejects the temptation, ordering the power to shut up and be crushed as he exerts his will over the chaotic energy. A shockwave explodes outward as he forcibly compresses the energy back. The jagged armor dissipates, leaving Red with a genuine expression of surprise. K is left gasping from the effort. Red looks at him, impressed and stunned, wondering if the rookie actually managed to suppress that overwhelming power on his own. K, with his heart racing, he thinks it's insane to have survived and frantically wonders why he went berserk. He looks up nervously, terrified that he lost control in front of a colorist, knowing he needs to understand his ability. He hesitantly approaches the colorist. Red, however, seems delighted. He admits that he was caught off guard because the power K absorbed was stronger than he expected, but smiles and declares the experiment a success because it was fun. He tells K that if he wants to achieve something, he has to be willing to take risks.
Hey, if you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, what are we waiting for, dude? Click the subscribe button real quick. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers together. It only takes 2 seconds. Leave a like and comment something or one emoji below. I read all the comments and I like them all. And if the hey par button is showing up for you, press it. It helps.
Red decides that this is enough for the test, but then pauses, saying there is one more thing. He reminds K that he is the investigator assigned to the destruction incident at this exact location, and his duty is to find the culprit. With a calm but threatening smile, he points out that the person in front of him looks like a perfect suspect. K freezes, his face pale with panic. Red explains the gravity of the situation. He recalls how witnesses saw a massive shadow creature, warning K that more people are interested in this case than he thinks. He argues that once rumors about K's black ability spread, it will be easy for the authorities to blame him. He gestures to the ruined industrial district, noting that the damages will cost hundreds of millions. He adds that if the city leadership decides K is too dangerous, he could be banished or turned into a laboratory genuine pig. K grinds his teeth in frustration, realizing he's backed into a corner. He knows there is no way to prove his innocence. Suddenly, Red offers a way out. He suggests that if K agrees to come under his command, he might be able to do something. Without a second of hesitation, K bows a 90-degree angle, shouting loudly that he places himself in Red's care. Red tells him to hear the full condition first. He clarifies that he won't fix everything for free. In exchange, K will have to grant a few favors. He asks if K thinks he can handle it. K forces a desperate, trembling smile. Internally, he screams that anything is better than owing millions or becoming a scientific experiment. He agrees loudly, promising to do absolutely anything Red needs. In the desolate wasteland, a small creature trembles with fear moments before a massive wheel slams into the ground, nearly hitting it as a heavy vehicle roars past. A large armored transport truck drives through the fog and rugged terrain of the Blacklands. Inside, K looks out the window, thinking it is the first time he was traveled so far and wonders if this is his first real step as a pioneer. Suddenly, his thoughts are interrupted by Gally, a green-haired man staring at him, calling him a black-haired kid. Gali handily tells Kay that he's a distraction and orders him to shut up, even though Kay hasn't said a word. Kay looks at him with a confused expression. Kay sits uncomfortably in the transport bay. He thinks that the starting as a pioneer immediately was what he wanted, but the atmosphere is tense. He looks at the furious Gali and the silent Ellie Cyan, questioning if being on the same team is the right choice. A flashback reveals a conversation from the previous day. Red asks a surprised Kay if he's ready to join the expedition, explaining that he needs him at the specific spot in the unexplored area. Noticing Kay's nervous expression, Red chuckles and tells him not to worry. He then shows Kay a map, reassuring him that he won't be alone. He explains that the new recruits who passed the exam will also be sent to the area and that the official run map will be released soon. Kay just needs to be there on time. Back in the present, Kay looks at his teammates, noticing they were already in the truck. It turns out that because Red's interference compromised the previous exam, the participants were given another chance. Many skilled individuals, including Gale, passed rigorous additional testing. Meanwhile, Ellie Cyan, the top-ranked rookie, joined Red Team as her own specific request. Gale glares at Kay with intense resentment, unable to believe he was humiliated by a fool. He thinks back to their fight, convinced he only lost because he let his guard down for a moment, and swears it won't happen again. Threatens Kay, warning him to be ready as soon as the exploration is over. He mutters that if he wanted for Raven, the purple-haired woman standing behind him, Kay would already be dead. Ellie Cyan coldly interrupts, telling Gale to shut up, that he'd probably go down in one hit again. Gale turns to her in rage, snarling, "Say that again, bitch!" Ellie brushes him off, stating that Gale is no match for Kay. Kay looks at Ellie with surprise and hope, thinking she might finally be someone he can relate to. However, Ellie turns her cold gaze towards Kay, confusing him by mentioning a past agreement they supposedly made. She glares at him, stating that the loser needs to keep quiet and follow orders, leaving Kay perplexed. Kay stands uncomfortably between the two hostile pioneers. Feeling the pressure, he sighs, realizing that the team dynamics will be difficult to manage. The scene shifts as a transport vehicle moves through the dark desert waters towards a distant facility. The vehicle arrives at a building loading dock with workers moving supplies. The group disembarks. Kay, Ellie, Gale, and the other recruits step out onto the down Pioneer Corps forward base. Kay is impressed by the high level of activity, noting the exceptional supplies of the S-Rank Corps, something he had noticed when he ventured into the Black Lands alone. Suddenly, a finger pokes Kay's cheek, startling him. He turns around to see a smiling Mary, who cheerfully explains that since it's his first mission, she had to come along to support him. Mary pulls open her coat, revealing that Nero come along too. Kay holds the black cat, thanking Mary for taking care of him. She smiles warmly, saying that Nero is family. She explained that she secured a great opportunity to join the exploration team as a support staff, stating that her skills are useful here. A loudspeaker announces that it's time for the assembly. The crowd of pioneers stand in the grey desert as the announcement continues, stating that they will soon enter the Black Lands. Kay hands Nero to Mary, telling her to take care of him. Mary warns him not to do anything dangerous, and he smiles, saying he'll see her later. Mary hugs Nero, but the cat suddenly leaps from her arms, startling her. She screams Nero's name as the cat runs towards Kay and sinks into the shadow on the ground. Mary's eyes widen in shock at this unnatural movement. She stammers, trying to call out to Kay. Confused, the group arrives at the entrance of a dark and fortified cave. Up front, a woman with bright orange hair and white coat shouts for everyone to get ready, announcing that a new recruit is about to enter the Black Lands. She shouts that safety is top priority. She warns that Recognizance has reported unidentified dangerous creatures in Area 21, a high risk zone where the body of creature has found. Suddenly, a male pioneer rushes up to the orange-haired woman, calling her Aranzia. He nervously reports that the red team leader brought the new recruits, but they left their formation without permission. Aranzia's eyes widen in shock, and she asks if it's true. The messenger confirms it, and Aranzia signs, muttering that the guy is causing trouble again. The group slips away from the main army, entering a dark canyon in secret. The colorless Red reaches his hand into the shadows, leading the way. The small squad, consisting of Kay, Gale, Ellie, and Red, breaks away from the formation. Kay nervously asks the team leader if this is allowed, pointing out that the main group is heading in a different direction. Red confirms that their destination is different. Kay looks back at Gale and Ellie, worried because the squad is composed entirely of new recruits. Gale suddenly explodes, demanding to know why he and Ellie had to follow. He shouts that he heard Red only intend to take Kay, and he feels insulted. Red smirks, his red aura blazing, and explains that his personal guidance is a rare privilege, so it wouldn't be fair if only Kay benefited. He assures that irritating Gale that while he won't spoon feed them, he won't let them get serious hurt either. He then cuts the conversation short, ordering them to keep moving. Kay's eyes widen as they encounter the enemy. Deep inside a cave, the group is surrounded by shadow creatures. While Red holds a lantern, Kay, Gale, and Ellie engage in a chaotic melee. A massive wolf-like beast leaps from the darkness. Ellie's Cyan reacts instantly, her blue energy sword piercing the creature's body. She lands gracefully, realizing that this is the reality of the Black Lands. Surrounded by glowing eyes, she notices the suffocating atmosphere and the constant waves of monsters, recognizing how different this is from training. She grips her sword tighter, resolving to manage her strength carefully. Ellie glances over her shoulder, thinking she needs to move more efficiently. She glances at Kay, telling herself she doesn't want to fall behind him. Meanwhile, Kay grabs a shadow creature by the neck and brutally crushes it with his bare hands. Ellie's Cyan stares at Kay in total shock. She asks why he isn't using a dropper. Kay hesitates, remembering the entrance exam, and admits that he doesn't have one. He explains that they are too expensive and that he feels fine fighting without one, leaving Ellie staring in disbelief. Gale is stunned, shouting that it makes no sense for a pioneer to have never used one.
Hey, if you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, what are we waiting for, dude? Click the subscribe button real quick. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers together. It only takes 2 seconds. Leave a like and comment something or one emoji below. I read all the comments and I like them all. And if the hey par button is showing up for you, press it. It helps.
After the battle against the shadow beasts, the carcasses of the wolf-like creatures lie scattered about. The colorless Red calls for a 10-minute break, though he warns the group, Gale, Kate, and Ellie's Cyan, that the real mission has not yet begun. Gale signs, complaining that he used a significant amount of his color energy. He pulls out a small bottle of glowing green liquid. As Gale drinks, Kay identifies it's a personal ink. This is a specially refined alchemical ink, an essential but rare supply for pioneers that restores their color. Because it must be crafted to match the user's unique color, it is insanely expensive. Kay watches with envy as both Gale and Ellie drink their personal inks, wishing he had the funds for such luxuries. Kay quickly dismisses the thought, moving away from the group. He reaches out towards the corpse of a defeated shadow creature. A massive swirl of dark energy erupts from its body as Kay activates his ability, absorbing the shadow directly into his hand. The black energy flows into him. Kay clenches his fist, his energy fully restored, and announces that his recovery is complete. He turns back to his teammates, who are staring in horror and disbelief. Ellie hesitantly asks if he's sure he's okay. Kay brushes off their concern, explaining that he has done this a few times before. Gale shouts in disbelief that Kay just absorbed a monster without hesitation. Before they continue, Red interrupts, declaring that the break is over. The group travels deeper into the canyon, until Red announces that they have arrived. The team sees a massive swirling dome of pure black energy blocking the path. Kay stares, muttering that it looks like a black curtain. Red smirks at Kay's stunned expression, and reveals that this dark barrier is the specific reason why he brought Kay along. To demonstrate, Red summons a ball of red energy, and releases a powerful beam at the black dome. The attack hits the surface, but instead of breaking through, the energy is instantly swallowed by the darkness. Red explains that if someone tries to force the barrier open, it absorbs the power and becomes more resistant. He notes that this is very similar to Kay's own ability, which is why he had the intuition that Kay would be the only one capable of erasing it. Red points towards the dark wall, revealing that the path to the ruins is inside. He announces that within those ruins hides his true objective, the Stella fragment. Kay's eyes widen in shock. The other recruits are confused. Gale asks what Stella is, and Ellie admits she has never heard of it. Red assures them that it exists, and that the Shimmering City is desperate to find it. He points a finger at Kei, ordering him to get rid of the curtain. Kei steps forward towards the imposing wall of darkness. Upon touching it, his absorption ability activates, and the black energy from the barrier begins to flow violently into his hand. A massive vortex forms as the giant dome is channeled into decay. Red, Gale, and Ellie watches as the obstacle is devoured. Red observes with a marveled smile, delighted that his theory was correct. As the barrier disappears, he tells Kei that his power will be extremely useful. However, Kei seems unhappy, sweating and trembling as he struggles to contain the massive amount of energy he has just absorbed. Suddenly, the ground shakes violently. Gale and Ellie panic as the tremors grow stronger, realizing that the loud noise will surely attract hordes of deadly creatures. The louder roar caused by Kei's actions echoes through the canyon. Suddenly, a horde of monsters resembling black wolves emerges from the cliffs. The groups find themselves surrounded. Ellie and Gale draw their weapons while Red laughs that such a large crowd has gathered to welcome them. Red commands the rest of the team to deal with the creatures, while Kei focuses on removing the curtain. With a cold expression, the team leader orders his squad to eliminate all the monsters. Gale and Ellie spring into action. Gale moves with incredible speed, slashing through the shadowy creatures with wind-infused attacks. Ellie releases her power, summoning massive ice spikes from the ground that impale multiple enemies. While the two recruits fight fiercely, Red watches them. He notes that he was prepared to intervene, but there is no need. He summons orbs of red energy and fire beams that pierce through the remaining beasts. Red thinks that although they are new recruits, their skill level is high enough. Meanwhile, Kei continues to absorb the massive barrier, sweating profusely. Red smiles, thinking how good it is when his subordinates do the hard work. While Red stands guard, Kei struggles with the volatile energy. Kneeling on the ground, he notices that the power of the curtains seems strangely similar to his own. Wonder if it is because they share the same black attribute. He senses the danger. If he loses focus, the massive energy of the curtain will reverse the flow and steal his color instead. Kei grits his teeth, refusing to be dominated, and declares that he is the strongest. With a final effort, the absorption is complete. He stands up at the edge of the path, panting heavily. It confirms that he has absorbed everything. He looks down at what was hidden behind the barrier and is shocked to see a massive pitch black pit with no visible bottom. He wonders if this terrifying abyss is the entrance to the ruins. Having finished his task, he turns and calls out to the team leader, reporting that the curtain has been successfully removed. With the barrier removed, Red praises Kei for a job well done. He called the rest of the team, announcing that the curtain has fallen and ordering them to finish the cleanup. Suddenly, Red's expression changes to pure shock as he senses immediate danger. Moving with blinded speed, he rushes forward and forcibly grabs both Ellie and Gale, pulling them back. An instant later, a massive invisible energy slashes tears through the air, digging deep forwards into the ground where they had been standing. The attack is devastating, shredding the remaining shadow monsters. The breeze rains down as Red, Ellie, and Gale land safely on a higher slope. Gale stares in horror, realizing he would have been killed instantly without Red's intervention. Red looks grim, citing that the previous lack of resistance was because something else was scaring the monsters. He recalls a report that a dangerous entity was lurking nearby. Through the dust, a silhouette appears walking towards them, dragging a massive sword. Red comments that they have no more time for games. The attacker steps into the light. He is a man with spiky hair, white on one side and black on the other. Half of his face is consumed by a dark, massive light growth, and he carries a collection of different weapons on his back. The stranger stares at the pioneers with a terrifying aura. Red stands between his team and the new threat, ordering Kei and the others to listen carefully. Red hurriedly thrusts a lantern into Kei's hands, giving him a frantic order. He tells Kei and the others that they must enter the ruins immediately and find the stellar fragment. Kei looks at the team leader with wide, anxious eyes. He asks if Red expects them to go down there alone. Red reassures him that, with their skills, they are more than capable. However, Red doesn't wait for them to agree. With a sudden burst of strength, he shoves Kei, Ellie, and Gale toward the dark abyss, shouting for them to stop complaining and just go. Kay screams the team leader's name in panic as the three recruits fall into the deep pit. Left alone, Red stands with his back to the canyon, his red aura glowing. The voice of one of these recruits echoes from the depths, asking what they should do on their own, as the threatening silhouette of the armed stranger looms behind Red. The two powerful figures face each other in a tense standoff, and Red knows that a difficult battle is about to begin. The scene shifts to the dark bottom of the abyss. Kay lies motionless after the long fall. He grows in pain, clutching his head as he struggles to stand in the suffocating darkness. Remembering the flashlight Red gave him, he activates it, wondering if he is inside the ruins. Light bursts forth, illuminating the area. Kay's expression shifts instantly to one of absolute terror. He stands paralyzed in shock, asking himself what kind of place this is. Instead of ancient stone ruins, the flashlight illuminates the skeletal remains of immense modern skyscrapers and concrete debris.
Hey, if you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, what are we waiting for, dude? Click the subscribe button real quick. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers together. It only takes 2 seconds. Leave a like and comment something or one emoji below. I read all the comments and I like them all. And if the Hey Par button is showing up for you, press it. It helps.
It looks exactly like a modern city, shattered and buried deep underground. Kay stands on a ledge, his flashlight cutting through the gloom. He's left speechless by the sight of a massive, ruined structures stretching into the subterranean dark. He marvels that such a place could even exist, but complains that he can't see clearly. Suddenly, a voice tells him to stop complaining and head towards the light. Kay is relieved to see his companions, Gale and Ellie, admitting he was terrified of being separated. Gale blames Kay for making them wander off, but Ellie snaps back that Gale has just as lost. Staring out at the vast, destroyed city, Gale wonders what kind of place this could be. He grows anxious, pointing out the absurdity of trying to find a star fragment in these endless ruins, especially when they don't even know what it looks like. Kay agrees, admitting that searching blindly will take an eternity. In his mind, Kay wishes his companion Nero were there. As if in response, a glowing figure appears and he's in shock to see the small black cat Nero at his feet. Kay panics, wondering how the cat managed to follow them. Ellie notices the animal and asks if it is some kind of creature. Kay breaks into a cold sweat, thinking he is in trouble now that his secret pet has been discovered. However, he quickly composes himself, realizing this might be the perfect opportunity to prove the cat's worth. He calls out to Gale and Ellie, holding Nero. Kay smiles confidently and announces that he was a way to find the stellar fragment easily. The group gathers around Kay. He explains that the little creature he's been raising will lead them straight to their goal. Gale shouts in anger, refusing to believe it. However, as Gale argues, Alice ignores him completely. Captivated by the cat's cuteness, Kay decides to demonstrate Nero's abilities. The black cat lets out a meow against Alice's chest, then leaps from her arms, startling her. In mid-air, the cat transforms into a vortex of energy. A blinding light bursts forth, illuminating the dark ruins and leaving the group in shock. The ball of light moves forward, creating an illuminated path, and the three pioneers follow it. As they walk, Gale expresses his incredulity, questioning how a creature could possess such intelligence and special ability. He demands to know where Kay found it. Kay ignores him and interprets the glowing cat's movements, telling the group that Nero says the stellar fragment is right there. Suddenly, the creature notices a trail and boats. The trail of light snakes through the ruined city, and the group arrives at a massive concrete structure. A dark tunnel entrance lies ahead, and Kay wonders how much deeper they need to go. Gale mocks him, asking if he is afraid. Kay fires back for retort, and declares that they are going in. They walk through a massive high-ceilinged corridor with the glowing cat lighting the way. Kay remarks that the facility is much larger than he expected. Suddenly, he notices Nero hovering in front of a large metal door and concludes that he must have found something important. The silence is broken by the heavy sound of massive mechanical foot. Kay freezes as a giant metal leg lands right in front of them. The recruits look up to see a towering, rusted automaton standing before them. Gale is confused, noting that it looks different from the biological creatures they are used to fighting. Suddenly, the robot activates a scanning beam, sweeping a sheet of light over Ellie's cyan. The machine processes her data, displaying a hexadecimal code for her bright blue color. The scanner then moves to Gale, registering his green color code. The beam finally hits Kay, who nervously realizes that the machine is scanning their colors to identify them. The machine completes the scan, displaying the hexadecimal code for absolute black. Upon detecting this, the robot's eyes glowed more intensely, and announces that it was detected the Black Witch's color, identifying K as a threat. Declares that it will begin elimination. Confused by the title, K is hit by the robot's devastating punch before he can react. He is thrown backward, groaning in pain, but managing to block the direct blow. He looks at the machine with fury, shouting in frustration. K shouts defiantly at the machine, declaring that they won't hold back. The giant robot raises his massive fists, threatening to crush them. K charges forward, his fists colliding violently with the machine's metal arm. He recoils in pain, wondering why its armor is so hard. Gale watches in confusion as the robot readies another heavy punch. Ellie springs into action, striking the machine with her foil, but sparks fly as her blade hits the armor. She looks on in shock, realizing she hasn't left a single scratch. Ellie panics, wondering if her powers are ineffective against a machine. Meanwhile, Kay analyzes the opponent, noticing the glowing core in its chest. He sees liquid swirling inside and identifies it as the weak point. Kay charges forward, throwing a sharp left hook. Suddenly, the robot reacts with unexpected speed, swinging his arm like a club. Kay barely manages to dodge the heavy blow. He pulls back, frustrated that his usual attacks aren't having any effect. Then, a realization hits him. He remembers the time his body was coated in dark energy and decides to tap into that power. Knowing that a full transformation consumes too much color, he settles for a compromise, channeling all his energy into his right fist and coating in a dense layer of black aura. With his preparations complete, Kay leaps into the air and swings his enhanced fist with all his might. The blow lands perfectly, punching right through the robot's chest and shattering its core. The sheer force of the punch completely obliterates the machine's upper body. The robot's head goes flying as the light in his eyes fade out. Kay stands among the wreckage, letting out a sign of relief, as Gale and Ellie watch in silence. Amidst the rubble, Kay notices a round object and picks up the robot's core, thinking Mary would be happy to receive a gift. Suddenly Gale shouts at Kay, demanding to know what that power was. He and Ellie cornered him, bombarding him with questions. Kay nervously dodged the inquiries, claiming that the technique severely drains his color. As he speaks, the massive metal door behind them begins to slide open, revealing a pitch black void. Suddenly, Nero flies out the darkness, screaming in panic. The cat hovers near Kay, trembling with fear. Kay stares into the dark doorway, seeing something strange. Despite the cat's warning, he steps closer, admitting he can't see a thing inside. As his fingers make contact, the black surface ripples like water. Suddenly, the darkness bursts outward. Massive shadow tendrils surge from the doorway, enveloping the group. Gale and Ellie screams as they are dragged towards the entrance. Helpless against the force, the three are sucked into the black void. The group falls through endless black space, landing in a new, entirely pitch-black environment. Gale groans in pain, complaining about the fall in the darkness. He raises his hand to check himself, then pauses, noticing something strange. He looks down at his chest and grabs his jacket in pure shock, realizing that his color, the green that defines his power, has completely vanished, leaving him in black and white. Kay and Ellie stands beside him, equally horrified. The world around them, their own bodies included, has been drained of all color. They are trapped in this monochromatic reality, bewildered and terrified, wonder what has happened to them. Far from the underground ruins, a small scorpion scurries across the desert, with the radiant glowing city shimmering in the background. Somewhere within the city lies the Eastern Government Office. Inside, a high-ranking official, known as the Chief, bellows in a rage, demanding to know if he has been located. A nervous subordinate reports that the individual is on an exploratory mission with the Red the Colorless, adding that the boy specifically requested they not interfere. The chief is very mad, screaming about the black. He can't believe Red would take someone with such a dangerous color into the field. He rants that while Red may be a hero, this time he crossed the line. The chief explains that a recent creature is signing as the ruling council in an uproar, terrified that the catastrophic black wave has begun. He grumbles that he'll be the one left to take the fall. As he speaks, a young woman with pink and yellow hair wears a provocative smirk, noting that the chief is losing his temper once again.
Hey, if you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, what are we waiting for, dude? Click the subscribe button real quick. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers together. It only takes 2 seconds. Leave a like and comment something or one emoji below. I read all the comments and I'll like them all. And if the Hey Par button is showing up for you, press it. It helps.
Camellia, leader of the Down Pioneer Corps, advises the chief to calm down before he ends up in the hospital. She explains that she understands his concern, but urges him not to jump to conclusions. She asks if he truly believes Red would act so recklessly. She argues that Red is a reliable safeguard, the perfect person to keep an eye on the boy. Camellia suggests that bringing along such a high-risk individual could actually lead to unexpected positive results. She takes a sip of her tea, asserting that what they need now is confidence, not concern. However, Camellia winces at the tea's bitter taste. The chief ignores her and dumps a massive amount of sugar into his jar, leaving her wondering how anyone could consume something so sweet. He snaps at her to stay focused. Camellia's expressions turn serious. She acknowledges that the chief disrupts the black because it is associated with the legendary Black Witch. She recounts how black symbolizes death and fear, referencing a historical catastrophe caused by the witch known as the First Black Wave. She explains that humanity nearly perished back then, when the world was shrouded in dark mist and creatures emerged, creating the Black Lands. Camellia predicts that another wave is inevitable and their exploration is ultimately a matter of survival. She mentions the recent anomalies and the appearance of Black Bearer. With determined look, she tells the chief they must harness every ounce of power available, even the black, and urges him to pursue the council. The chief looks resigned, admitting that it isn't easy as it sounds. Nevertheless, he looks down a dossier containing a photograph of Kay and promises to do his best. Looking at the image, the chief reflects that perhaps the fate of the city might revolve around this. Meanwhile, the three pioneers find themselves in an endless black void, their bodies glowing like white outlines. They are confused about where they are. Gale turns to Kay in a panic, pointing and screaming that their colors have vanished, demanding to know why Kay still has his. Kay boldly responds that he has no idea, suggesting it might be because his color is black, matching the darkness. Suddenly, Gale hunches over in exhaustion, and Ellie Cyan clutches her head. Feeling weak, Kay watches in confusion, wondering why he is perfectly fine. He realizes it might be because he spent his entire life as a colorless person, so this is nothing new to him. Gale mentions a bizarre sensation inside his body. He narrows his eyes and sees a faint, glowing light pulsing inside him like a core. Suddenly, scary sounds of whispering falls upon them. They look around alarmed. Terrified, Gale screams into the darkness, demanding that whoever is whispering show themselves. Kay listens, wondering if it's the same voice that usually speaks to him, but realizes it's something different. At the moment, a dark, ghostly silhouette of a woman with long hair emerges from the shadows. Kay feels the presence and turns around sharply. Gale and Ellie freeze in shock, stammering in fear. Unable to identify if the ghostly form is a creature, they are terrified because she appears instantly, without warning. The mysterious shadowy figure raises a hand and points a finger at Kay's chest. Kay freezes. His eyes widen as he realizes he's being chosen. His mind is violently pulled into a chaotic vision of a swirling vortex of energy consuming a city. The scene shifts to a terrifying blood-red nightmare of a world in ruins, overrun by massive beasts. A giant eye opens in the sky above a horde of shadowy creatures, while a terrifying multi-eye beast casts a fierce gaze from the crown. The vision cuts to the face of the mysterious long-haired woman staring at him with a glowing eye. Kay finds himself before a massive and overwhelming blue energy, unsure whether he is seeing a memory or a reality. His confusion deepens and he questions his own identity. In the depths of his consciousness, a voice from a bright light claims that he needs a name. A blurry smiling figure from his past gives him the name Kay, encouraging him to find his own light and color. The vision ends abruptly and Kay returns to the present with a sharp gasp. He looks terrified, sweating as the shock of the memory hits him. He stumbles into the void, clutching his head and gasping, cursing why such unpleasant scenes are forcing their way into his mind. Kay clutches his head, trying to process the chaotic vision. He frantically tries to grab the fading memory, telling himself that there must be an answer. Suddenly, the name Humiel springs to mind. He is confused, wondering who that is. His thoughts are interrupted by Gale, who has lost his composure. The swordman screams into the darkness, challenging invisible enemies and swinging his sword uncontrollably, hallucinating a battle. Kay turns to see Gale swing his weapon, dangerously close to hitting Ellie's Cyan. Gale screams, completely detached from reality. Ellie trembles, begging him to stop. Ignoring your pleas, Gale continues his assault, screaming for everyone to die. His eyes have darkened and are blinding, a sign that the void has driven him to madness. Meanwhile, Ellie's Cyan is trapped in her own nightmare. Tears of black liquid stream down her face as she clutches her head, apologizing to her sister while reliving a traumatic memory. Kay watches with concern, realizing that his companions are deteriorating. He understands that the creature and the space are corrupting them, and decides they need to escape immediately. Suddenly, a familiar sound echoes. Kay looks up to see a glowing white shape flying towards him. He smiles in relief, realizing Nero is safe. He greets the cat, asking if he is alright. Nero flies frantically, gesturing towards the distance. Kay understands that Nero is telling him there is something over there. The cat flies off, leaving a trail of light behind. Kay decides to follow the path. However, Kay pauses and looks back at his companions. Gale is still swinging his sword violently over the traumatized Ellie. Kay realizes he can't just leave them behind. He turns to Nero and asks if the cat can use its abilities to help. A massive wave of purifying light erupts from the cat, enveloping Gale and Ellie. Within the light, the dark corruption begins to evaporate. Ellie and Gale stop screaming as the dark influence dissipates. Kay watches with satisfaction, noting that the light is working. With his companions protected, Kay tells them to stay put. He turns away, determined to explore the path ahead on his own. Kay walks through the pitch-black void, following the trail of light left by Nero. He grows frustrated, complaining that there is still nothing to be seen. As he turns his head, the disturbing sound of whispering returns. A mysterious voice echoes, telling him that no color can touch him. Kay looks irritated, thinking that hearing nothing but riddles is maddening. Suddenly, a brilliant star-like light shines in the distance. Kay's expression shifts to excitement, and he begins sprinting towards the light. As he draws closer, his face lights up with awe. He finds himself before an immense glowing four-pointed star structure atop a stone monolith. Realizing he has found his objective, Kay identifies the object as a stellar fragment, which radiates a powerful holy light. He notices that its brightness and shape are different from what he was seeing before, wondering if each fragment is unique. Deciding not to waste any time, he climbs the rock mound to retrieve the item and escape the unpleasant dimension. He reaches out his hand towards the glowing core. The light swirls violently. Suddenly, a massive wave of energy flows from the fragment into his hand, as his absorption ability is automatically triggered. Kay is shocked, his body glowing with the absorbed energy. He panics, wondering why his ability activated on his own again. He hopes that, since it's only for a moment, it won't be a problem. The dark influence that trapped the group begins to fade. Kay looks up, relieved as the oppressive atmosphere dissipates. The pitch-black void vanishes, revealing that they are in a massive chamber of grey stone. Kay stands alone in the center, looking at the glowing energy in his hands. Confirming that the black space is gone, he reflects on the nature of the black lands, noting that this dangerous territory is always full of surprises. Gale and Ellie's Cyan regain their senses and look at Kay in disbelief. Kay asks if they are alright, but Gale points an accusing finger at him, while Ellie asks in shock how he remained unarmed. Kay responds that he doesn't know. He diverts their attention to the glowing object in his hand, announcing that they have found their target. They identify the object swirling with rainbow light as the stellar fragment. The team gathers to inspect it. Gale is skeptical that such a tiny object is what the red team leader was talking about. Ellie is amazed that something so small can carry so many colors. Beside them, Nero floats, staring intently at the glowing orb. Kay confirms that there are no negative effects on his body. However, Nero draws closer, eyes fixed on the shimmering energy. Suddenly, the cat opened his mouth, hovering over the artifact. Before anyone can react, Nero swallows the stellar fragment whole. Kay's face contorts in absolute horror and shock. Gale and Ellie are equally terrified, screaming at the cat in panic, demanding to know what he is.
Hey, if you've watched this far and still haven't subscribed, what are we waiting for, dude? Click the subscribe button real quick. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers together. It only takes 2 seconds. Leave a like and comment something or one emoji below. I read all the comments and I like them all. And if the Hey Par button is showing up for you, press it. It helps.